Today we're going to talk to you about a concept which we call the one element concept. And this is something that I've noticed when we look at all of the teams that we've worked with now, more than 40 different sports, 700 teams, 22,000 coaches, athletes, officials, people that are very good at what they do. What we've noticed is that these individuals and these teams, when you ask them, what is it that makes you as good as you are? A lot of them are able to say, hey, well, we do this and we do this and we do this really well, but really, this is the key thing that we do well. And so they're able to break and boil everything else that they do well down into one absolutely core element, which we call the one element factor. And when we're talking about one element, we're talking about breaking that in two. There is the one element technically that teams do well, and there is the one element non-technically that teams do well. This relates to when we talk about the group process, we talk about roles that people have, we talk about a technical role and a non-technical role. When we're talking about teams that are really successful, perhaps their technical element could be the fact that they're defensively the best team in the competition. Perhaps they're a basketball team that creates so many deflections, that's so good at their one-on-one style of play, that defensively throughout the entire court, that is their number one thing that they pin their pride on, and that ultimately delivers them their success and their results. When we're talking about the non-technical factor, it could be the fact that that team has such a high level of trust, which results in a higher level of team chemistry and hence a better culture for that team. But when they say, what's the one thing that we do well? We just trust each other to the nth degree. There is zero question around our level of commitment and accountability to each other. So trust becomes their non-technical one element. What we're encouraging teams to do is there's an article written on our website that goes into more detail about this, but ultimately what we're encouraging teams to do is to discover what their elements are. What is that technical thing that you do so well that helps you win games? And what is the non-technical thing that you do well that makes you a great team? And once you find these elements, what's really critical is that your whole system, your whole sports program is reflected in these elements. And what I mean by that, there's a soccer team that I was doing some work with, and this soccer team said that, this is before we started working with them, they talked about the fact that we as a team this season, we focus very much on being the best structured team in the competition. So every opportunity they could get, wherever they scored their goals from, it was usually from a set play, whether that be a corner conversion or the like. And so they weren't a team that had a lot of shots at goal, but the ones that they did have, they had the opportunity to restructure their play, and obviously a set play to score those opportunities. But despite the fact that that resulted in the best season they've had so far, next season was going to be something else. And so that element doesn't need to change. It just needs to be developed even further, because that is something that was delivering results. Now, if we change our one technical element or non-technical element from one season to the next, it impacts every other aspect of our program. It impacts the type of training program we select, and it especially impacts the type of athletes and student athletes that we recruit for our particular team. If we're going to have a very structured style of play, we'd better make sure that the type of players we select want to play that style. If we want to be the most aggressive attacking team in the competition, knowing that we're going to rely on scoring more points than the opposition, defensively we may not be that great, but we're going to score more points, you have to recruit players that want to play that style. If you recruit attacking players, but you're going to be the best defensive team, that's going to be asking players to be making an adaptation. Now, as we know, the bigger the adaptation someone has to make, the less comfortable it is and the more uncomfortable it is, and their likelihood of doing it for a long period of time over the space of a season is less. And so the point is here is once we define our elements, they become part of the process, if you like, part of the system for how we do everything. And from one year to the next, it doesn't change. You can think about some of the best teams that you play against, and the reality is that these teams, you can actually say, well, that they are the best at this. You know, there are teams that we know, some of our clients talk about, and they're the fastest team in the competition, so no one can beat their speed of play. Other teams are defensively the best team in the competition. Some other teams are the best attacking team in the competition. And so it's a key thing there to define what your element is and to stick with that. And if it's not producing you results, you either have the opportunity to change it, or if it is producing you results but not good enough results, then you have to make it even better.